We bow down to Sally Rooney. It's raining, the leaves are on the ground. I'm setting the scene for you here. And as someone who's just watched the film The Substance, and I'm already scared, let's just say what it is. It's a cult. Like, is that even a job? I'm just gripped already and I need to know more. So, you know, there's that difficult relationship between us there. It's given spooky ooky. So for the dark academia girlies, you know, that's being ticked. I find space just like the deep sea, cruelly shocking, spooky, weird. She's just been sitting on the shelf collecting dust. Rock girl autumn / lazy girl autumn reading. Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. I'm Ray Reads. Follow me on Instagram. Yeah, you want to, you do. So today, since we're getting into our autumn fall season, rock girl autumn for me, Gilmore girls autumn for me. I'll be rotting on the couch watching Gilmore Girls, yes I will. I thought I'd share a rock girl autumn reading list with you, some sort of spooky Halloween adjacent autumnal reads that I want to check out, as well as some newer books that I want to read over the next few months that just so happen to be autumn. So yeah, not all of them are spooky or autumnal themed, but the books that are on my list anyway. So since summer's over, yeah, she's over, that's cancelled. We're now into our rock girl autumn, being pumpkin spice bitches, that I don't want to leave the house because it's too cold, so I'm going to stay in my bed, rotten, possibly binge watching Gilmore Girls, and generally just being a lazy girl.
What's your name?
Rachel.
And what do you do for a living?
Nothing, I'm lazy at the moment.
So it's more sort of rock girl autumn / lazy girl autumn reading.
Spectacular, give me 14 of them right now.
Yeah, so more moodier, darker, maybe a bit creepy, but also just like literary fiction that I want to read too. Some of the books on the list are books that I said I'd read last autumn, but they're still on there and she hasn't read them, so yeah, I want to read them this year. And then a few are just like highly anticipated that I've wanted to read all year, if that makes sense. So they could be given the la 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 vibes, or they could just be like doing their own thing. So yeah, I'm just rambling on here. Should we just get into the books, because she's going on and on. So the first book is Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. I don't know if you can see that, it's kind of like gold. Can you see it? And this is a classic that I've wanted to read for a while, and I said I was going to read last year, but I didn't.
Are you not embarrassed? This is really embarrassing.
She's just been sitting on the shelf collecting dust. And I always say I want to read more classic literature because I was someone who kind of got into reading later in my teens, sort of early adult years, and I didn't really read many classics, so I definitely want to read more classics, and this is just giving kind of like spooky, weird female protagonist vibes. And it's said to be a gothic romance, and we follow a protagonist who's swept off her feet by a dashing widower who's lost his wife, and he's like, oh, I'm really into you, come live in my country estate that's like really spooky and abandoned and you'll fit right in.
No, thank you.
And slowly she becomes kind of obsessed with his first wife, and as she starts exploring the house, weird things happen and she feels a connection to his wife grow, and it's supposed to be quite psychological, which we love. It sounds perfect for Halloween, and obviously I want to read something that's like classic literature, so it's got to be read. It's got to be read. So I'm holding myself to it. I'll read it before the end of the year.
Sure, Jan.
How many pages is it actually? The next book is Orbital by Samantha Harvey, and I chose this book because the Booker Prize shortlist was just announced, and I usually don't bother sort of reading all of the shortlists. I'll see which ones I like the sound of and I'll read them if I can get to them. But this year I thought, you know what, I'm going to try and read them all, but I'm also going to try and read them all by loaning them from the library.
That's hot.
And I want to read this one because it's set in space and I find space scary.
She's got a point.
It follows 6 men and women who are on a space mission and we explore their day-to-day via like snapshots of what's happening, reflections while they're exploring space, and it's said to be an exploration of mankind and our place in the vast galaxy. But it's kind of giving spooky vibes because I find space, just like the deep sea, cruelly shocking and terrifying. Like, you don't really know what's going on up there or down there, so nothing can get you close to a panic attack quite like thinking how vast space is. Just me? Let's move on. The next book is I Have Some Questions for You by Rebecca Mackay, and it is over on my shelf over there, my little book cart, but there's like a stack of books above it and I just couldn't be bothered getting it, so you're getting an image. And this is another book that I had on my autumnal list last year that I still haven't read. And it's got kind of like a dark academia vibe. It's a mystery thriller set at a boarding school in America, I believe. So for the dark academia girlies, you know, that's being ticked. And we follow a film professor who's invited back for a teaching position. And it's the exact boarding school that she attended where her roommate was murdered. No! In the 90s, and as she's drawn back she starts questioning things and starts looking into the crime as it's bringing up all these memories, and she's like, did the right person get arrested or was something at play here?
This is a case for the FBI.
And as I was reading the synopsis while I was looking for the books I wanted to include, I was like, why haven't you read this yet? It's so you. It's given spooky ooky and Halloween adjacent, dark academia. It's raining, the leaves are on the ground. I'm setting the scene for you here. It's true crime adjacent. It's mystery adjacent. So I will be rotting away reading this at some point before the end of the year, I hope. So yeah, that's another one. Next is a book that I spotted on a few lists of friends on Bookstagram, and that is Model Home by Rivers Soloman. And this one's kind of, I'd probably say it's the most sort of Halloween-esque one on here, as it's like a contemporary horror thriller mystery, and I think it might be set round Halloween, but I can't remember where I read that. And we follow the Maxwell siblings, who are the only black family in the neighbourhood in Dallas, and as they're growing up, strange and unexplainable things happen that they kind of just write off, and that is until years later when they get the call that the parents have died, and they believe it's under mysterious circumstances, and they start looking into it when they go back to the house. Supernatural ? Maybe a supernatural element happening in that house. Haunted perhaps.
Oh, fuck this, I'm out of here. Get that fire exit door, I'm off.
And supernatural kind of horror type things, they're a bit fantasy adjacent to me, so I'd usually not read it. You know, I'm a lit fit girl, but sometimes it's good to read outside of your comfort zone, and this sounds like it includes kind of more complex issues about class and race, which I'm always intrigued to read about. And it's given sort of like Get Out vibes, if you've seen that Jordan Peele film, so yeah, that's another one I want to read. The next is sort of a palette cleanser, if you will, and it was a book that I was kindly sent by, who's the publisher? Bear with. Square Peg. And that is The Third Gilmore Girl by Kelly Bishop. She'd just be forever Emily Gilmore to me.
Young man, I don't know where that's been, but I can say with absolute certainty it won't be going anywhere near my mouth.
And that's more so because it's, you know, a la 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 season, Gilmore Girl season. It'd be light-hearted with mixed in with all of these sort of darker subject matter books. And I don't know about you, but I mostly spend my autumns rewatching Gilmore Girls, so let's not pretend that's not what we're all doing. And I also have a love-hate relationship with the character of Emily Gilmore because she's a snob but also she's an icon, so you know there's that difficult relationship between us there. But I am interested to read about the actress and what the role meant to her, what her life was like, and you know, becoming an actress and playing like one of America's probably most iconic characters. And as someone who's perpetually nosy, I love finding out behind the scenes things, so yeah, I will be reading that. And as I said, Palette Cleanser, you know, for those nights where I've probably scared myself so much thinking about outer space that I won't be able to sleep, so yeah, that's another one. Next we've got the book I'm just about to start reading, and I got it from the library, and that is James by Percival Everett, and this is also one of the Booker Prize shortlisted books. books and people have told me it's fantastic. I've read one of his books before, which was The Trees, last year, and it was probably one of the most unique sort of plots of a book I've ever read, and I really like his writing style. And it's said to be a reimagining of the American classic Huckleberry Finn, which I haven't read. But apparently Huckleberry Finn, for those who aren't familiar, is Mark Twain's classic 1884 novel that tells the adventures of Huck Finn, a barely literate teen who fakes his own death to escape his abusive drunken father, and he encounters a runaway slave along the way named Jim, and the two embark on a journey down the Mississippi River. So as I said, I've never read it. I think it's more sort of something that's taught in American schools and it's considered an American classic. But James is said to be a retelling of that story from the perspective of Jim, who's the slave in the story, but it's still keeping the original plot points in place. It's just switching the character perspective. And I know that Percival Everett's very much known for writing about historical black figures, more from a perspective of a person of colour, and he's got such a unique voice and a one-of-a-kind take on his point of view that it's very much an enjoyable reading experience and not like something you've read before. Well, that was my experience reading The Trees, and I expect it to be the same with this. So I'm very excited to read that, and I am starting it next. So the next book is Supplication by Nour Abi-Nakhoul. I'm really hoping I pronounced that right, sorry if I didn't. And I spotted this with my friend in the bookshop the other day and it just riveted me, immediately hooked me in from the blurb. And it's said to be horror literary fiction, which again isn't something I read too much of. And the protagonist of the story wakes up in a basement with a man standing over her with a knife.
No ma'am.
And I'm already scared. Like I'm already like, what happens next? And she escapes and is trying to navigate the world outside in a reality unfamiliar to her. And the question is it real or is it in her imagination? And I'm just gripped already and I need to know more. Plus the cover's very like intriguing. Next we've got probably my most anticipated book of the year, and that is the new Sally Rooney book, Intermezzo, by obviously Miss Sally Rooney. And I was going to hold off buying this because it's only out in hardback at the moment and it was £20.
Not on my watch.
But then I looked online and got it for 10. And it goes without saying, she's queen. We bow down to Sally Rooney, and this is said to be a story of love and grief, family and loss. And we follow two brothers. One's a Dublin lawyer and the other is a competitive chess player, and they're dealing with the sudden loss and grief of the father. And like most of Sally Rooney's books, it deals with the complex dynamics of love, loss and sort of family relationships and dynamics, and those relationships or experiences that shape us. And I will literally read anything that she puts out, so I don't want to know too much about what happens in it. I just want to sort of go in and have the experience of reading it. So yeah, as soon as I'm finished with the library books, because I've currently got 2 that I need to get read in the next like 12 days, so wish me luck. Yeah, she's getting read next. The next book is Creation Lake by Rachel Kushner, and this is another Booker Prize shortlist book that is very much intriguing to me. And I read one of her other books a few years ago, which was The Mars Room, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was kind of sparse on the plot, but the characters and the journey that they go on is very engaging, and I really found myself gripped with the writing and the story, so I'd be happy to read more of her work. And this is supposed to be a mystery thriller that follows an American spy for hire. Like, is that even a job? Where do I apply? Spy for hire. Imagine what you do. Oh, a spy for hire who sneaks into an eco commune cult. Let's just say what it is. It's a cult. She's told to befriend the charismatic cult leader, and the story kind of unravels from there. And I've seen a few people with different opinions on this one. They've either loved it or hated it, but the fact that it's shortlisted sort of makes me want to, as I said, read them all. Is it 5 books? But either way, I want to read them all. You know me little thing I'm trying to do, the library loans of the Booker Prize. But sometimes when a book's kind of got divisive energy and critiques, it makes me want to read it more to see what the hype's about. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna read that. And then finally is another book that I said I'd read last year, and I got it towards the end of the year, and I was really hyped to read it and didn't get round to it because it was one of those books where I was like, it's kind of like autumnal spooky season book, and as we were leaving that, I was like, it's not really the time, it's not really the theme. And that is Rouge by Mona Awad, and I absolutely love the cover. This is said to be a gothic fairy tale, so you know, we're keeping with the rock girl autumn, the Halloween spookiness of it all, and it's about a lonely shop clerk who loses her mother suddenly, and she starts to spiral when she starts to look into the mysterious death of her mother. And as she's looking into it, she discovers she had this connection with this like beauty industry spa thing that she would attend, and the protagonist's also drawn into it, and she digs deeper on what this sort of culty spa like group that her mother was heavily involved in is. And it's said to be a look at mother-daughter relationships, the beauty industry and our obsession with youth, and the lengths that we'd go to stay young, to remain young, to be sort of youthful forever. And as someone who's just watched the film The Substance, which I absolutely lived for, go watch it if you haven't. I'm very interested in stories that deal with beauty standards, and especially the youthfulness that we sort of seem to be obsessed with in culture, where you're kind of not allowed to age. You've got to know what the latest beauty secrets are and how to sort of stop aging. I'm just very intrigued by it all, so I definitely want to read that before the end of the year too. So yeah, there's some books that are on particularly my rock girl autumn reads. So we've got a mixture of kind of like spooky literary fiction and horror adjacent, but also just books that I want to read. So if you need me, I'll be rotting in my bed reading them when I'm not watching Gilmore Girls, obviously. Let me know in the comments some books that you're going to read during your rock girl autumn or your spooky seasons. What books do you want to read? Are there any in this list that you want to read? Let me know. If you have read them, let me know what you thought. If you be a doll, please like, comment and subscribe, because one, you get icon status and it'll really help me out and the channel, and together we'll create 2 icons. So thanks for watching as always, I appreciate you all. Oh, and if you don't like, comment and subscribe, I'll haunt you in your dreams. Just kidding. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!